Good evening and good morning. My name is Mary Hunt, and I am the co-director with Diane New, who is with us tonight, of WATER, the Women's Alliance for Theology, Ethics, and Ritual in Silver Spring, Maryland. And we are joined in the office this season by Pamela Miller from Wesley Theological Seminary, originally from Jamaica, and Brooke Andrews of the University of Maryland, who is a graduate of the Academy of the Holy Cross here in Silver Spring, Kensington, really. And they will be with us in the office this year. As we gather tonight, our year-long intern, Patrice Rupp from Baden-Württemberg in Germany, whom some of you met during the last year, is flying home, sadly for us, after a wonderful year at WATER as part of the Brethren Voluntary Service Program and its German partner, Irene. We will miss, as I'm sure some of you will miss, Patrice, wonderful young woman who will be going back to the University of Heidelberg this year. And she, however, has bequeathed us Lisa Lauterbach from Nuremberg, who will arrive next month from the same program. So we have just hired Lisa for the year, and she will be joining our staff. So we are, as I say, well accompanied and just delighted that you are accompanying us tonight as we look at truth and reconciliation, religion, racism, and the legacy of Sister Thea Bowman with Cheryl Nichols. I want to offer a welcome to each and every one of you, and a particular welcome to those who are here for the first time. WATER has been offering these monthly meditations for some years now. We always look forward to new people joining and becoming part of the regular cohort of folks who appreciate this time together. Let us begin then, as we always do, with a land acknowledgement. This is something we at WATER have incorporated into our programs to remind ourselves of why we do what we do and what we need to do more of, given the systemic injustices that Indigenous and other people of color face in this country, perhaps in yours as well. WATER is on Indigenous land in Silver Spring, Maryland. This is the traditional and contemporary land of the Piscataway and Anacostan peoples. We acknowledge the trauma and injustice toward Indigenous people that is deep in the U.S. culture and history. We join in efforts to eradicate it and to make reparations for the genocide involved. WATER's work is aimed to bring about social justice. So please join me for just a moment to consider the Native people on whose land you sit this evening. Thank you, and blessed be. Tonight, Cheryl Nichols will lead us in meditation, and we'll get to that in a moment. I want first to pause to situate ourselves on September 11th, 2023. Now more than 2 decades after the deep tragedies of this day. Lives lost, innocence shattered, global community shaken to its core. We commemorate the day, hoping we have learned a lot about what brought it about, in the hope of preventing future such senseless occurrences. At our last session in July, we focused on the social justice work and the writing of Erie Benedictine Sister Mary Lou Konecki. We used her prayer for a decade of nonviolence as our starting point for contemplation. The conclusion of her prayer offers direction, I think, for September 11th, 2023. She wrote, and I quote, "May my imagination overcome death and despair with new possibility. And may I risk reputation, comfort, and security to bring about this hope to the children." Let me repeat that on this auspicious evening. May my imagination overcome death and despair with new possibility. And may I risk reputation, comfort, and security to bring this hope to the children. To which I, Mary Hunt, can only say amen, and hope that this time together helps. So let us turn to the theme that Cheryl Nichols has chosen for tonight's meditation: truth and reconciliation, religion, racism, and the legacy of Sister Thea Bowman. We in the Water Meditation follow a very simple format. The presenter, tonight Cheryl, but we always rotate leadership so that it's not the same person. The presenter offers something brief, usually between 7 and 10 minutes, to spark our contemplation. This is not a time for a long lecture. We then ring the gong that will start and end the 22 minutes we spend together in silence. At the end of the silent period, we open the floor for comments and reflections, sharings on what has emerged in our contemplation. We close promptly at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, though we keep the Zoom open for a bit of informal conversation after that. Meditate as you will. There is no cookie-cutter approach. The important thing is that you find your way to silence, whether through breathing, repeating a mantra, whatever works for you to spark your contemplation. We're all in different places on this, and we respect those differences. I invite you to mute your audio now until the time to share after meditation, so we have a good, clear line to hear Cheryl. And when we come back, I will instruct you on how to be part of the discussion. And during the meditation time, you can feel free to turn off your video if you'd like and enjoy the image that will be on the screen. You don't have to turn off your video, but if you feel comfortable doing that and want to, that's fine. So that's how it works. And again, we keep it simple so that everyone can participate. Let me introduce my friend Cheryl Nichols. Cheryl is a regular participant in these sessions. She's a teacher by vocation, retired now from that work and university work, but she continues tutoring and teaching English to some of the newly arrived people in the U.S. She's active at the St. Camilla's Church Food Pantry and helps out in many ways at Water. She's close to the religious of Jesus and Mary and is a participant, or was a participant when it was safer, in their work in Haiti. Cheryl is a stalwart member of the Washington, D.C.-based women church group, Sisters Against Sexism. I notice a few other members here tonight. And mainly, she's a dear friend of mine, and she's such a dear friend to many. So Cheryl, we look forward very much to your expressing to us something of the vibrant legacy of Sister Thea Bowman, whom I would describe as an icon of American Catholicism and a member of the Franciscan Sisters of Perpetual Adoration. May she rest in peace, and may her memory inspire us tonight. Welcome, Cheryl.
Thank you, Mary, and welcome to all of you. So many friends who are returning, and welcome to the people who came through various ways, maybe through future church announcement, but I'm so happy to share my reflection on Sister, servant of God, Sister Thea, this evening. For our meditation tonight, I would like to reflect on the sin of racism within our churches, our Christian churches. And not only the historic racism that has existed, but the racism that is present in our churches today. And I say that based, kind of brought back to mind in this article that was in the Washington Post in the religion section 1 week ago, when a majority of white Christian, evangelicals, Catholics, and mainstream Protestants in great numbers say that too many of us see racism where it does not exist, which means that we are really blind to the racism that does exist. Two recent experiences really prompted me toward this meditation this evening. And the first was a year ago when I participated in the Future Church book club last August of 22, reading Subversive Habits And I don't know if any of you might have been part of that book club a year ago, but it was really one of the most powerful books. Shannon D. Williams, who I don't think is Catholic, definitely she is Christian, did 10 years or 14 years of research on this book. And it brought to mind Sister Thea, who I had heard about. And years ago, I had watched her talk to the bishops in 1989, I think, is when she addressed the bishops conference. And we're going to see part of that. I'm going to let her lead us into prayer this evening. But the book's subversive habits really reflected the racism in women's religious communities, just kind of as the tip of the iceberg in the wider Catholic Church and in so many Christian churches. It kind of led me to join our anti-racism group in our parish. And this past spring, I had the opportunity as part of that, part of the membership of the anti-racism group, to be a member of a pilot project on unlearning white supremacy based on the reflections of Alex McCulloch. And so we started this program in March, and really it hasn't completed yet. We will be finishing with Alex in November and then moving forward in our parish to really bring the message of how do we unlearn white supremacy when we are so unconscious of it so often. Last November, I learned, kind of embarrassed to say this, that I learned that November is Black Catholic History Month. And our committee did a wonderful project for the church on the 7 African Americans who are up for canonization, Thea Bowman being probably the best known, but also Sister Mary Lang, the foundress of the Sisters of Divine Providence here in Baltimore. So it was a way of kind of resurrecting the cultural contributions of Black Catholics to our history, to our liturgies, and really, how can we incorporate their spirituality much more into our practice of liturgy, especially? So I'm going to let Sister Thea introduce our prayer this evening. This is a brief selection from her address to the Bishops' Conference. And then we will, as Mary said, proceed into a little more than 20 minutes of contemplative prayer.
Mean that I come to my church fully functioning. That doesn't frighten you, does it? I come to my church fully functioning. I bring myself, my Black self, all that I am, all that I have, all that I hope to become. I bring my whole history, my traditions, my experience, my culture, my African American song and dance and gesture and movement and teaching and preaching and healing and responsibility as gift to the church. I bring a spirituality that our Black American bishops told us. They just told us what everybody who knew. That spirituality is contemplative and biblical and holistic, bringing to religion a totality of minds and imagination, of memory, of feeling and passion and emotion and intensity. A faith that is embodied, incarnate praise, a spirituality that knows how to find joy even in the time of sorrow, that steps out on faith, that leans on the Lord, a spirituality that is communal, that tries to walk and talk and work and pray and play together. Even with the bishop, when our bishops around, we want to be where we can find, where we can reach out and touch him, where we can talk to him. Don't be too busy, y'all.
Thank you, Cheryl. Thank you, Sister Thea Bowman. We move now into 22 minutes of contemplative silence, after which time we will share our reflections. Thank you. Good evening again, September 11th, 2023, the Water Meditation, and good morning to those in the Southern Hemisphere. I want to thank Cheryl Nichols for beginning our contemplation this evening with a wonderful theme and just giving us enough of a snippet to let our imaginations and our spirits explore on our own. I know there are a lot of people around this circle who have a great deal of experience on this topic, and we'll be delighted to hear from them as well. I want to also thank in absentia Thea Bowman of blessed memory. What an inspiration she continues to be. And I want to thank all of you for joining in the power of this contemplative prayer, which we do communally, after the fashion of Nancy Sylvester and others who have shown us the way that, in fact, doing this together makes an enormous difference in terms of the energy generated and the insights that emerge.